Aloha everyone, it's Dr. BethAnne. I am an author, intuitive psychologist, and an empath. And this is Friday's Poetry and Perspective, where I share a poem from one of my books and then some perspective on the words behind it. So we have a full moon going on tonight, and I was like, okay, I need to share some sort of a moony, nighttime, starry poem, something to evoke and honor that energy. So I'm sharing a poem from a book called Cranberry Dusk, A Journey of Becoming. This is actually a self-published book. It was the first book that I wrote, and I published it myself just because I gave it to a friend. Like, I made it as a gift, and they said, like, you should publish this. People might actually like it. So I did. And a lot of the poems were written, well, all of them are written in Alaska, where I lived at the time, and so they are heavily influenced by Alaska's natural scenery. So this is called Galaxies. I could lose myself in the tilt of crescent moon and not find my way back to light of day. Nighttime is meant for the wanderer, those who seek the hidden ways, who find themselves tucked in each losing, who learn to see the shape of invisible where the form of naught once lay. I could crawl along the tips of skies until my knees were scraped with ragged sheen and callous stars. Nighttime is meant for the supplicant, those who know grace abounds when a heart is meek and a mind is twined with merciful want. Show me my place in the order of things. I could sink into the abyss and count myself whole among the flight of shadows. Nighttime is meant for the veritable, those who step into the space of the dark and find themselves raw, bare, full, in the unformed fields of soul's eclipse. I could stash the cosmos inside, so I gleamed with earnest glow, to always remember to transmute black into bright. Nighttime is meant for the alchemist. Those who learn the secret is to take the elements life has granted and transform them into galaxies of ever-giving light. I wrote this particular poem, like I said, back in Anchorage, Alaska, and it was sometime close to solstice season, winter solstice in the northern hemisphere, because it was really dark out. And if you live in Anchorage, or you've been to Alaska, or you've just read about it, you know that the closer we get to December 21st, the darker and darker it gets. And so that poem was really inspired by this inky black sky outside lit with stars, and something that has just helped me cope with life as I try and find the beauty and the gifts in everything that I see. And that's one of the gifts of being not just a writer, but being a poet, because I get to look for how could I take what my human self might have been wow, it's really, crappy outside and it's dark and it's cold and I'm really tired of living in a black hole. My poet side is well, how do you find the beauty in that? How do you alchemize that into some sort of a word, into a new form? And I think that's what poetry is about for me. It's taking experiences that in the moment might not feel so beautiful, and it's putting word to them and creating them into something beautiful. I believe when we do that, that is how we live soulfully and beautifully and artistically, and we live creatively. And you don't have to be a poet or an artist or gifted in that way to do that. You just have to notice what's beautiful about this. How could I look at this through a lens of seeing it in a new way? Seeing it, if this were a song, what song lyrics would best describe this, and I think that just adds this depth of intention and meaning to life. So with that, thank you so much for listening to Poetry and Perspective. If you enjoy my books, they're all listed on my website, BethAnneKW.com, and they're all on Amazon. And I have a new one coming out in October called Things of That Nature, Words for the Mystic Heart, and that will be more poetry because I so love to write it. So have a beautiful weekend, aloha and light, and I will see everybody next week.